on an all-new 2020. A family's worst nightmare when a SWAT team storms their home.
They raided the wrong house.
Smoke and chaos like this.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Their little son, Bou Bou, seriously injured in the blast.
This should never have happened. What did my son do to them?
What went so horribly wrong?
He did his job so badly that he nearly killed a child. Have the tactics changed?
There's not going to be a real good answer to that one, is there?
Now, with $1 million in medical debt,
This is just part of it.
there's no Christmas until 2020 shows up. All I Want for Christmas. Here now, Elizabeth Vargas.
Imagine the horror of this. Your family asleep in your home, being blasted awake by an explosion. Not a gas or electrical accident, but a police SWAT team targeting your house with your baby inside, barely 2 years old. And right now at Christmas, there's $1 million medical bill. So who's going to pay? Literally. Here's Matt Gutman.
What's Christmas without a tree?
Here's our tree.
But one family in Wisconsin had the holiday cheer blasted right out of them this year. Enter 2020.
So the family knows that I'm coming, but they have no idea what I'm bringing with me. We didn't know if you guys would have a Christmas tree, so we brought a couple of things, including this tree.
Honey!
And a bunch of toys.
Instead of a sack of toys this year, Alicia and Bounkham Phonesavanh are stuck with this sack of bills.
I mean, this is just part of it. And these are just the doctor's bills.
It's been a tough year. Last spring, their house burned down, so they sought refuge with family in Georgia. 2 parents and 4 young children crammed into a relative's garage. They thought they were secure until one night last May when an explosion jolted them out of sleep.
Just boom.
I didn't know what was going on. I knew that there had been an explosion.
At about 2 a.m., a fully armored SWAT team rammed down the door looking for a local drug dealer. Instead, they found a family with 4 small children. An officer had thrown in a flashbang grenade to stun everyone inside.
Boo Boo started screaming.
But it landed right in the crib where Alicia's youngest child, 18-month-old Bou Bou, was sleeping.
Then my son starts screaming, and I just go for him, and the other officer grabs him first, and I never even got to see his face.
Officers whisked Bou Bou away in an ambulance, but they told his parents he was fine.
I kept asking, where is he? What happened? And your son just lost a tooth. He's okay. They just took him for observation.
Your son just lost a tooth?
When they finally arrived at the hospital to take their baby home, a social worker finally told them the truth.
She told me that our son was in the burn trauma unit, and I lost it.
The flashbang grenade had blasted holes in his face and his torso. Doctors said Bou Bou might not survive.
It seemed like he just kept getting worse every day.
That's why we were losing him slowly.
They kept him in a medically induced coma for over 5 weeks.
It's just not fair. This should never have happened. We should not be sitting here right now. What did my son do to them?
The SWAT team was hunting for this man who police say sold meth to a confidential informant outside the home where the family was staying. Problem was, the suspect lived across town.
They raided the wrong house because they did not do their job.
Toddler burned by a flash grenade
landed in his playpen in a SWAT raid that critically hurt a little boy.
2 days later, the man in charge of the raid, Habersham County Sheriff Joey Terrell, went public.
We just knew there wasn't children in there. We had our mindset on what the game plan was to go in and do it.
Odd, since the Phonesavanh say they'd been living there with their kids for 2 months.
If they would have done their job at all, any kind of surveillance, they would have known that their suspect did not live there and that there were plenty of children in that house.
According to Alicia, the family's minivan was parked in the driveway with their 4 car seats in it.
Even with the door closed, you can still see car seats.
And decals on the back window showing 3 children and a stroller.
So this is the door. This is the actual door right here. Still has the damages.
Marcus Coleman is a local community activist.
So they busted through here, tossed a grenade in.
He took us into the converted garage where the family slept that night. They say, under the glow of a giant flat-screen TV they used as a nightlight.
Cartoons were on.
I believe they were. Any due diligence of police work before coming in such a militarized fashion would have prevented this tragedy.
So we've come here to the Habersham County Sheriff's Office to get some answers from the sheriff himself.
Sheriff.
Good morning.
He's a big man with little to say.
I just want to ask you a couple of questions about the Phonesavanh family.
I can't answer any under advice of counsel.
Clearly there was a tragic mistake.
You know, I'm not going to get off on tactics with you. I'm not going to get off in the weeds on it. I'm not going to talk about what happened.
A lot of weeds here, huh?
There's tons of weeds.
Have the tactics changed?
We've examined everything we do. You know, we've trained with other teams, and there's not going to be a real good answer to that one, is there?
Since we couldn't find answers in Habersham County, Georgia, we found a SWAT team in Florida to demonstrate how to safely deploy a flashbang grenade.
Here's on the search warrant!
This is what it looks like being face to flash.
Hands on your head!
There is a time and place for it. You know, we don't use it very often.
We went back to Georgia, where Habersham District Attorney Brian Rickman convened a grand jury to look into the botched raid. But as in the recent cases in Ferguson, Missouri, and Staten Island, New York, which sparked protests across the nation, the citizens of Habersham County found no grounds to charge any of the officers involved with a crime.
If you were responsible for a flashbang and you deploy that flashbang into a pack and play and nearly kill an 18-month-old toddler, how is that not criminally negligent?
If we had any evidence that they knew the pack and play was there, you're in the criminal sector there.
Good information such as a minivan with 4 car seats right in front of the front door?
That's a good point. But once those SWAT team guys are out of the car, once that point of no return is passed, it's not criminally negligent for them to not have investigated that van.
But the Broward SWAT team says there's no such thing as a point of no return. They are specifically prohibited from deploying a flashbang if there's any sign of children.
Have you ever had to not deploy, not throw the device? Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Sure. It's a no bang. We'll say, hey, we're not deploying, and we'll remove ourselves from the situation.
When you deploy it and it fires, is it supposed to hit skin or flesh?
No.
Is it supposed to touch anyone? No. Do you think anybody from that SWAT team did anything wrong?
There were mistakes made. The intelligence on the front end is how the tragedy could have been avoided.
That intelligence was gathered by a drug unit that was disbanded just one day after we rolled into town and confronted Sheriff Terrell. And guess who oversees that unit's budget? Sheriff Terrell and DA Rickman, among others.
I mean, you're involved intimately in the workings of this unit. It seems like a conflict of interest.
It's not a legal conflict of interest.
4 years ago, undercover officers in the same drug unit shot and killed unarmed pastor Jonathan Ayers at this gas station. Earlier this year, his pregnant widow was awarded $2.3 million in a wrongful death suit. And guess who convened the grand jury in that case?
Were there any criminal charges after the Pastor Ayers shooting?
With respect to the death, there were no criminal charges.
So no criminal charges there and no criminal charges with respect to the Phonesavanh case?
That's correct.
Sure is easy for law enforcement to hurt people and get away with it in that area, isn't it?
Is that a question or?
Yeah, that's a question. Are there any repercussions for law enforcement officials and officers who are involved in seriously injuring someone or killing them in your jurisdiction?
Yes.
Criminal repercussions?
Nobody went to jail.
Why can't they just say, I'm sorry, we messed up, we're going to make things right?
Has the sheriff or anybody from Habersham County ever apologized?
No.
Has anybody ever called you to say we're sorry?
We have not received any phone calls, no cards, no teddy bears, no balloons, no nothing on Bou Bou's behalf at all.
After nearly 6 weeks, Bou Bou toddled out of the hospital with more than $800,000 in medical bills, which Habersham County refused to pay.
And before this, we had no debt. We didn't owe anybody anything. And now after all this, you know, they have completely financially crippled us.
We've decided to crash the Habersham County Board of Commissioners meeting, try to get some answers from the folks here about why it is that they refuse to pay for any of the family's substantial medical bills. We cornered County Manager Philip Sutton.
It is not legal for the county to authorize payments for the medical bills.
This is a family that nearly lost their son. His face was nearly blown apart. A hole was created.
I can't discuss this anymore.
Well, I'm just asking. The sheriff said, quote, send the bills to the county.
The sheriff can't make a commitment like that.
So much.
The Phonesavanhs buckling under medical bills, now topping $1 million, are planning to sue the county, struggling every day. But today, at least for a few hours, there's some Christmas cheer.
At least we're having a good Christmas.
With new toys, a twinkling tree, and a little boy grinning again.
So our question here tonight, who do you think should be responsible for the baby's medical bills? Let us know on Facebook and Twitter and use the hashtag ABC2020.
And if you would like to help the Phonesavanh family, you can find more information at our website, abcnews.com. And by the way, those gifts and toys that you saw Matt bring to them were all donated by our parent company, Disney, and the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation. We'll be right back.